now the company wants you to spread the gospel of innovation and make everybody an innovator. Do you think that is possible in a company?
You don't need everybody to be an innovator, but anyone who has potential for being an innovator, you certainly want to encourage them. Because I don't think everybody is an innovator. I think, please excuse me since this is not fair, but I think finance people,
derivatives.
I'm not so sure that you're spoken like a product.
So just the point I was going to bring up, because I've worked as an officer of the Navy and on actual technical and innovating similar projects like that, but now I'm in the financial world, been in 10 years and
doing derivatives.
One thing that Michael Porter said is he says he felt like the reason we're in the state we're in is because he said innovation exceeded regulation. But I think there's another aspect of that. Because I'm a financial advisor and talking to clients, I think that innovation exceeded education, because I couldn't even explain the actual products that were coming down the pipe. So my question is, how do you manage that aspect of it? Because obviously innovation comes from us all trying to, we have something in mind that meets our interests. And when the guys on Wall Street, they're going to do whatever it takes, hedge funds, everything, to manipulate to meet their needs. You know what I mean? So how do we go to the customers and clients and manage that process so that everything doesn't get all out of whack? At least that's from my experience.
I don't know what the comeback time is on customers in your business. I don't even know exactly what you do. But the stuff that we make at BA Systems, we have to really do our very, very, very level best to make sure that it doesn't fail. Because what happens if our stuff fails, for the most part, people get killed. So we know immediately if something went wrong. So we're allowed to invest a whole lot more in that aspect of the customer relationship. So when we develop something new, when we innovate that creates a value that we believe is right for the customer in a different way, we spend a whole lot of time making sure that we understand it before it ever gets to the street or where we're transferring it to the customer. We simply have to. That may not be the case in every business. You know, it may be possible, for instance, to take an ice cream kind of a novelty or something, you put it on the street and the flavor's not right, you can bring it back, you suffer, you get creamed by your boss, you know, because it didn't work right, but you can come back and do it again. But I don't have a lot of experience in that realm. I just know when we don't understand something, we make real sure we do before that goes out the door, because the price is so high if you don't get it right.
I just think
everybody does that.
commenting. Yeah, you want to allow people who are creative and innovative to, grow inside your company. But in a large company, you have to create an environment that allows that to happen. And that's the only structure that I'm thinking that people need to provide, is from the most senior levels in the company to say, if we don't innovate, we die. And grasp that and believe that. And carve out money outside the budget process that says, like the chairman did at Saturn. He said, I don't care what any of you think. We're going to go do this. And so I'll find people who want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, fine, stay here, stay in Detroit. But he protected that. But what happened was he went away. And that's the challenge I think for large companies is how do you make it not personality driven, but how do you make it sustainable?
Because a good example was 3M, when they wrote about, right, the guy from GE who goes into 3M and decides to apply the GM model to the R&D innovation engine of 3M, which was famous for its engine, and killed it. Just killed it. And so, reversed around, turns out the people were still there and they can now innovate again.
I think I would like to make one point, though, that the professor mentioned. Large companies that are completely budget-driven won't survive in my thought process. Wherever you take your place in business, you should be an advocate of having strategy drive the business. The question is, what are we going to do? How we're going to do it is operations. What is the strategy? If you don't have that right, no amount of budget control, no amount of smart investing, no amount of getting the right people together, no amount of loudmouth colonels complaining about the range billing system is ever gonna save you. You've gotta work, the strategy's gotta be the basis of everything you do.
Good question.
Yeah, I grew up in the defense aerospace industry, and I know what I'm about to say doesn't apply to that industry, but in the commercial market, it seems that products are being pushed a little bit faster to market these days, and I've got a blackberry storm here that is a good example of it. You know, it seems that they're getting the product out a little too quick, to the point where the beta testing is really being pushed onto the customers. Reactions?
I think that's Microsoft's strategy, quite frankly.
No, it's
They,
been happening a long, long time.
they put out a new operating system and then they take 6 months to fix it.
And they get way more help.
And everyone buys it.
Yeah, and
They
it's
wait
outside,
till-
it's outside.
Every day you have automatic fixes that come to your program. It's supposed to be.
And that may be a good economic model in that market.
Yes, get everybody in the world working for you.
Get everybody in the world helping.
And they don't charge you.
Just about every successful, large innovation, large company that is successful in innovation has a just do it track. So in addition to a conventional product development or technology development track, there's a lot of stuff that they say either brand liability is low, financial risk is low, legal liability, you're right. It's okay to just throw it out there and let the customer fix it. And we'll learn so fast that the value is just getting out in the marketplace. So you can't do it with drugs. You can't do it with certain things. You can't do it with missiles. There are things you can't do it with without putting people at deadly risk. But there are a lot of things you can do it with. And where it got messy is people thought, well, we can do it with financial tools because who cares if wealthy people lose all their money? So whether it's an Enron or whether it's with mortgage derivatives or whatever, it's only the wealthy who are losing their money and nobody cares about them. And so we'll just throw it out there and we'll be greedy and make a lot of money and they'll get screwed. Well, you know, the public kind of said, no, that's move it over. A couple more questions.
One other thing on that, I mean, Google is a good example of, I hope they can continue it. Gmail was started inside Google by 3 guys. Okay, and they introduced it as a beta, and I got on really early, and I think it's still a beta, isn't it?
Yes.
It's officially still. They never have taken the beta away from it.
It's
And
part of the
Google
attraction.
just keeps throwing, let people do what they want to do, fund them. If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, who cares? Great environment. But they're publicly traded now.
But one of the keys on it is to have a good process to get those fixes that the public is coming up with back into the product quick.
Look at the Genius Bar at the Apple stores. I mean, what a wonderful way to bond with your customer and get feedback and